don't forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Maine. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
The niggas had to lose all the damn little fat. The niggas is very big bundles of that shit. The niggas had bundles packed, passing that shit back and forth. I was like, damn, these niggas get mega ball money, you know? Mega ball shit. You know what I'm saying? Who had the silver teeth?
The definition of what a killer is a person who has more than 9 murders. You had Preacher on this end, and you had Lou on this end.
They took their time, man. They almost gave Lou the death penalty.
They put it from 142nd Street, so you got a whole lot of people that claim a lynch mob that ain't even from 142nd Street. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So, you know, the feds, like I said, the feds can take anything and hype it up to make it seem one way than what it really is. You know what I'm saying? So to make the media hype or whatever, like they said I was driving around, jumping out my van and everybody was running. I don't remember none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Lou pull up in a white MPV, that was Lou. That was Lou. That wasn't Preacher, that was Lou.
Lou had the white MPV, mean.
White MPV, that's Preacher, you better walk off. Vato nigga, put it in a rhyme that when you seen the white MPV, it was Preacher, but that's false. He just rapping. He don't know. He wasn't there. That was Lou. White MPV, you know. That's you know me. Fix that up real quick. Yeah, I'm in the hood like bang bang. Would've got robbed from lynch mob. Your chain swing. Enough of that.
What song was that and all that?
In the air, you know what I'm saying? For Harlem, feel me? Crops where do them, that was the brick block. Lynch mob, Lou Sims and Charlie Clips posse. Yeah, man down for 10,000. Fix that up real quick. Shout out to Sims, I ain't mean to put his name with you. Lynch mob, Lou Sims, squeeze text.
And Lou pulled up in that motherfucking Land Cruiser. Ferris was driving. Lou jumped out that motherfucker and started going crazy berserk on this nigga. 8 out, this nigga beat the fuck out of him. Made the nigga take his clothes off and walk naked across the avenue for being disrespectful. Nigga owed him some money in the joint, he put the nigga out his head. You know, gangsta shit. It's homicide Lou, gangsta Lou, niggas ain't playing.
One of the homies that was from upstate, me and him got into it over something that he did that was wrong. And I don't want to go into a long story with that, but you know, I wound up butchering him. He stabbed me one time, and then I wound up going to the hospital because he stabbed me one time, like I got a little lip like this, but it punctured the liver. So I had to go to the hospital because when they told me I had to go, I'm like, oh, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Just give me my patch, I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
And then they told you about sepsis.
Right. So what happened was I had to go out. When I went into the outside hospital, they said that I was bleeding on the inside, so they had to give me a zipper and sew that up. You know what I'm saying? So it made it look better than what it looked, than what it was. You know what I'm trying to say? When it got out, but that's the only thing that really happened, you know. But the dudes that was there, they know that, you know, that the homie, he got what he deserved, you know what I'm trying to say? And at the same time, even though it could have been worse for me, but, you know, I turned out to be all right, though.
Well, they really did double jeopardy on Lou for the state of Alabama. They said he did a murder for hire and took a contract killer at interstate and foreign carpets, meant that he traveled from state to state to go kill somebody for money. And they gave him the death penalty in that case. It was a state case in Alabama, but the same charge that was charged against him in the feds. They tried to pull some bullshit, like after he copped out to the shit in the feds, they try to snatch it because they're in different jurisdiction and prosecute for the death penalty. Like, y'all got to have death penalty in the feds, but we gonna give it to you now. Like some bullshit, but my nigga made up appealed that day and beat that. It was an era of the end of the murder rate. The murder rate in Harlem was so crazy. They said that when they locked up the 142nd Street lynch mob came in the preacher crew, that the murder rate dropped from a 98% level to like fucking 6%.
The New York Times, the New York Daily News, and the New York Post all have reported that from 1986 to the mid-1990s, a time period known as the crack era, and the peak of America's war on drugs, life in and around West 142nd Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem was controlled by a drug crew known as the 142nd Street Lynch Mob. Don Diva Magazine, Volume 21, Issue 56. Yo, what up though? Shay's Popalot. Salute the almighty mob. We on our way to Harlem with it. We talking the mid-1990s. They call it the crack era. We call it the terror era. Y'all heard what the Times, Daily News, and Post said? Y'all meet us on 142nd and Lenox. Be careful, because shit could get spooky over here. Now, today, we're going to be covering one of the most notorious, one of the most feared, respected, and stand-up dudes. I really want to say in Harlem, but then I really want to say in New York City, but then I really want to say that the game has seen. And the person that I'm talking about is going to be Lou Griffin, also known as Lou Sims, or let's just call him Homicide Lou. Now, from every media outlet, from the Times, Post, and Daily News, all the way to the Los Angeles Times, they would label Lou as the enforcer for the 142nd Street lynch mob, but in being described in various articles, as well as the group's indictment, he would come across as somewhat either a leader or a partner, with the nefarious Charles Leon Brown being mostly recognized as the leader, who, if it wasn't for the likes of Alpo Martinez or Nicky Barnes, I would say is the most reputed snitch in Harlem history, being known as the only person on the Kevin Childs indictment to fold, as well as going to fold on his own gang, the lynch mob. And though Leon wasn't the only person to go in on Lou during the case, it definitely seemed like it hit him in the heart, and definitely something that he hadn't seen coming, explaining to the Don Diva that the relationship was all love, and never in a million years would he have thought he would have done that to him, especially in the early stages of them both getting arrested. He would even explain deeper, saying that their love for each other grew stronger over the years. The more money that they made, the stronger the love they had for each other, saying that the relationship got to the point that he wouldn't even let anybody say anything bad about Leon. In the August 1995 article speaking on the dismantling of the gang, the LA Times would write, in the last 2 years, 225 New York City gang members linked to 129 murders and suspected of committing countless others have been indicted under federal racketeering laws. The lynch mob would be one of those very first street crews that would be charged under the RICO Act, a law that was usually used to target the mafia at that time, with seemingly Lou looking like the government's main target. Now, I stated earlier that Lou is one of the most feared people on the streets. Other big dogs in the game felt that way as well, as it would be alleged on November the 15th, 1993, a Harlem drug supplier that was linked to the 142nd Street lynch mob by the name of Alvin Butch Cassidy Goins was going through a war with a local group of stick-up kids by the name of the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys by that time had garnered a reputation for robbing and extorting other drug dealers, even a botched kidnapping a few years previous on Harlem's consignment king, Richard Fritz Simmons. The group had been sideways extorting Butch by pretty much getting narcotics on consignment and not paying him. Once he had enough of that, he would refuse to supply the group with any more work, ultimately starting a war between him and the young thugs. Butch Cassidy would allegedly approach Charles Leon Brown to see if he knew anybody that he could pay to off members of the stick-up group. Now, it would be said that after the group would catch Butch in another ambush on 134th Street, where they would be shooting at him with AKs from off the roof of a building, After escaping unharmed, he was said to have doubled the bounty, and after hearing about Lou's reputation, it was said that Butch would go on to contact Leon. The contract would be allegedly given to another notorious and episode-worthy member of the 142nd Street lynch mob, Ferris Phillips. According to the New York Times, on July of 1995, authorities would announce federal indictments on the top 10 members of the lynch mob, which would include Homicide Lou. The article would allege that the defendants allegedly played a role in 15 murders and 9 attempted murders, pointing out that 5 of the injured were innocent bystanders in a turf war dating back to 1989. They would explain that before the crackdown, the lynch mob was untouchable, pointing out that Lou, who was 29 at the time, would be arrested but never convicted of murder, attempted murder, and robbery in less than a year. It would be said that Lou's run on the street would end at around 4:30 p.m. on August 29, 1994, while students at Columbia University were moving into residence prior to the start of classes. Lou, along with another member of the 142nd Street lynch mob, would be traveling in his BMW to 112th Street, where they would spot a rival dealer. The dealer would end up being shot in the chest. He would survive, and that would result in Lou's arrest, with the indictment coming down while he was already behind bars. When asked about the origins of the name, the lynch mob, he would explain that they started out throwing bus rides to Great Adventures in the summer back in the early 90s. And if you was around, you know that Ice Cube was one of the hottest rappers at the time. He would say they had some shirts made and the name would eventually stick. He would explain to Don Diva that, ironically, using the name the lynch mob would allow the government to label the group as a gang, and that would help the RICO charges stick. He would be charged with a majority of the group's murder and even spend 3 years on death row from 1997 to the year of 2000. His case would be overturned eventually because they would use his federal plea agreement as evidence against him in the Alabama state case, which was illegal. Lou would end up serving more than 2 decades in federal prison and would be released fairly recently. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box. Definitely let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what I got wrong, all of that. Tap in directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Until a re-up, y'all know the rundown. Shades Popalot. Salute the almighty mob.